with it. So I want to encourage anybody who get gadgets, make you put your gadgets in a way and use safety map in a way make you not obstruct somebody. And also I advise say when we get your phone there with we, let me put them either silent or make we switch them off.
It's like polyalcohol. Thank you.
So we get 1 minute for make we start. So I make again because I think person phone just in. So good afternoon, my family. We they watch me on TV, and we brother and sister from the 4th estate. Particularly, I have to recognize Mrs. Asma James. We now miss also Mosing a senior person for the media business. It always good when people are senior. They come participate in a press conference because it shows say really we get the support across the board by the media for what we do. Today we continue the conversation for bring government program, government activities to una language way una they understand, a language way una sabi. And today na the high table we get distinguished people in. We don't serve we are public servants. So we get Mrs. Melrose Committee where we know say the Minister of Social Welfare, so we can give you general update about the ministry and for make we discuss about push, where in fact Minister will tell person say that the 3rd week in a row we did on this simply because na issue where people care about, na issue where beaucoup people want to know what the government they do. And our job now for connect government to the people through this platform. I also want to make a welcome me elder brother. We now the Minister for Internal Affairs. We now Major General retired. David T. Talova, we all sabi. Who no say don't spend beaucoup years don't work at the military and now it is the Internal Affairs as Minister. Then we get we sister as we can normally do. We also create this platform for make we get civil society voice for make it day. We get my colleague, we a lawyer, we a Juliet Kaikai, we are the acting executive director advocate for also carry up more on this particular discussion all day. But as una know, I go hand over to the minister, we are the host for giving updates and for carry on with the program for today. I will stop this so far for hand over to the minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Minister, members of the press, family, Leon, also plenty. Thank you for joining me again in this weekly conversation series with the media to the people of Salone. I want to take this opportunity again for tell plenty thank you to all we media partner the way they carry we live, you will follow me online. I want to tell thank you. We don't send you questions there as well in advance. I want to tell thank you. We will make sure say as usual we reflect that. We know now the pattern we get, we start, and they provide for general updates from across the government of Salone. And after the updates, they are hand over to a very distinguished panel here. Then they provide two things. One, they give an update from the respective agency, from the government, because it's not government press conference. And then they talk on the topical issue. We will continue for engage on, President will ask for engage on push. We get the response and the view from internal affairs, the response from social welfare. Then we turn over to a colleague with common civil society for letting us share in your views then. So make us start with some big news this week across the government of Salone. Number one, very important, EDSA, we are the primary agency we responsible for the distribution of power electricity in the country. Don't write to the Electricity and Water Regulatory Commission. This is important news. For us, for let government increase tariff from 11 cents to 23 cents. Big breaking news. So the law say, our level listen. The law say, now EDSA they make this request to the regulator. When we make this request to the regulator, we have to go through a process where they include, follow our announcement, EDSA already gazette this, the regulator don't gazette this. We have to get public hearings, media engagements, and conversations on this. You know what I mean? Saying that this is the new rate. EDSA don't ask the regulator, say, because of inflation, the dollar, prices of commodity, including fuel, the letter very detailed. I know we'll get chance for read the entire letter. But they make a case say right now, them as an agency and the government, they lost significant resources because we pay particularly less than all man at the sub-region. In fact, the average at the sub-region, they about between 20 to 25 cents. We now only pay 11. And we don't adjust it from its inflation. So I not say they don't change you. I say X are all right. We don't start the process for make this change here happen. An important news that day, and over the next few days, we will continue to explain this, and we will take the entire civic engagement and public education process for updates the public on the steps that we need to take. EDSA request no means say that they will go for two. We will go through the process and then we arrive at the conclusion. Another very important news we need to clarify. Plenty journalists there, local and international, announced following a tweet where been come off from the Twitter handle of His Excellency the President that Salone they open an embassy like Jerusalem. Indeed, now we issue the tweets. We want to clarify the tweets for the people of Salone and for the press. Salone don't enjoy a long-standing relationship with the State of Israel, which dates back to 1960, even before getting independence. Salone will continue for build on that relationship there, and not just for build on the relationship, but for begin for benefit significantly economically and otherwise as part of this exchange. As part of that process there, His Excellency the President don't ask that we look into for make sure say we open embassy yanda, then say open embassy naya. The venue for that embassy day, you know mean say it get for being at Jerusalem. So I want to clarify that day one time. But people don't that they talk in English because it's international news. His Excellency the President has indeed directed that Sierra Leone will open an embassy in the State of Israel. This is consistent with our long-standing partnership and relationship with the State of Israel that dates back to the 1960s. We intend to enhance that relationship, to cultivate mutual economic and other benefits, and this is why His Excellency is taking steps for Sierra Leone to open an embassy in Israel and for Israel to do the same in Sierra Leone. The venue of that particular embassy, it doesn't mean that it's going to be in Israel, in Jerusalem. Sierra Leone continues to support the United Nations position that seeks a two-state solution in the conflict between Israel and Palestine. So the position of Sierra Leone is consistent with the position of the United Nations and the African Union. That has not changed. So there has been some reporting that we take responsibility for because the tweets misrepresented our position. And we are seeking to clarify that. We encourage you all to join us in that clarification, and we will continue to do that. A couple of other breaking news. Madam Musayo Obayi, who is an accomplished aviation expert, has been appointed Director General, Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority. You're hearing this here first. Madam Musayo Obayi, she has a well-established background in company management, business development, cross-cultural awareness for conducting international business. She is a strategic thinker with first-hand experience in the Sierra Leone aviation environment, and she is now the Director General for the Sierra Leone Aviation Authority. We want to confirm other appointments that you have seen in the Helix Commission. Honorable Alusan Kane is our new Chief Immigration Officer. Honorable Abubakar Karim is Sierra Leone's ambassador to Chad. He's been nominated because he needs to go through Parliament, designated. His Excellency Awol Safar is being nominated as our ambassador to Ethiopia. Mr. Mohammed James has just been appointed Director of Technology in the Presidential Delivery Units. Mr. Francis Momor is being appointed a Special Envoy for Trade, Investment and International Relations. I encourage you to follow STATCOM for many of these breaking news as we continue to see more and more of them breaking news here at the camp. We get a few other just notification I will just provide very briefly. Una know say Ministry of Finance then just do the validation workshop for review the state-owned enterprise bill. So that process they continue. The Ministry of Public Administration and Political Affairs, they expect for host a National Public Sector Reform Dialogue Conference in Salone. And the theme of the proposed conference will take place in October and towards a strategic and efficient state. So we'll look forward for more news on that as well. But I'll give news on the Honorable Minister who is next to me, but since today I will definitely share your news where they start on some of the work that we don't do, we don't visit some place them. It didn't have the brief where I get, but provide updates on what I go get a chance for like to do day for himself. Some of us say the Honorable Chief Minister been partner, Dr. David Senge, be partner with the Minister for Works, Dr. Dennis Sandy, and then clear U building. And some of us have been witnessed that. Clean the place, clearly, and they lay the foundation for a complete transformation of U building. The Honorable Chief Justice, Justice Desmond Babatunde Edwards, they assigned 23 judges them for preside over a total caseload of over 800 cases across the country. This is now for continuing for push justice in the country. And then finally, Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC, the Ministry of Finance don't approve a salary increase of 50% for staff at the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. It's now another hot breaking news. We get the privilege today. We'll just do a town hall with SLBC, and we announce that to the staff, but we also know this is a news item. And a part of His Excellency commitment for continue to improve the welfare of the information sector and this country, and SLBC, the front and center of that. Mr. Deputy Minister, I don't miss any major news? No, that's fine. Okay. All right, so as usual, on all of the news they did, we'll open for question and answer, and I can feel free for us, and we'll take question. For now, we commitment now for do that first partly in 15 minutes, so we keep that commitment day. I get the privilege for first handover to the Minister of Internal Affairs, a very distinguished professional, and for can share some updates from the ministry, general security updates, and you respond particularly the updates on this drug enforcement and drug push crisis. So from the house, I present to now Major General retired David C.O. Taluba.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister, colleague ministers, everybody present. Good afternoon. Well, they don't introduce me already. Me are the Minister of Internal Affairs, and we know when we talk about internal affairs, now the ministry where they make the country safe, now the ministry where they make we borders then secure, now the ministry where they make sure say everybody go to bed and nobody not go around for the hunting company for damage or for doing any wicked thing. So now a very broad ministry. We get the police, we get the prisons, we get fire force, we get National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, we get the NCRA, we get even the senior medical examiner, where somebody gets some suspicious killing. Now they take for go check you for say what actually they do with you. They examine the body. So we get a whole lot of most of una know when we talk about internal security, a lot of things the way they embargo internal security. Some of we say with the embargo internal security we don't know. Like most of the media crimes they work in the Toku under we for check that. Then we get the responsibility for say bad person not enter Sierra Leone. We get the immigration for check say anybody when they enter Sierra Leone not to bad person, then for check in background before they get visa for camp. Then you as a Sierra Leonean will check you for say you get your passport. And for go any other country. But before you get that passport, if you don't get your national identity card, then we will give you the passport. Then apart from that, we know other crimes again with the involve this country like a lawlessness. Now one of the major issues is drug abuse actually. But most times in come out of drug abuse, because you get different type of, you get criminally motivated lawlessness, you get what we call politically motivated lawlessness, and politics any party no win and go make official and go do this, all that lawlessness, then responsible for lawlessness. Now all of these things will be put together now the Ministry of Internal Affairs for see that Sierra Leoneans, they nobody know hot in company. You know, some people that they go look in Mochkano abandoned and as streets, you know, especially them big trucks, you know, they put nothing to indicate say they get broke down. Then another poor man will come out, maybe you know get AC in glass dark, they just go where Father Motka they die. All this now other form of lawlessness, you know. If for driver, if you Motka broke down, if for fair way half of Polar Motka then at speed, so you know go another Sierra Leone go die as a result of your own carelessness or your own thing. So this now a whole lot of things where the Ministry of Internal Affairs they look at and will try for fair solution with una cooperation. Because the issue of security, not to a one-man show, this issue of security now a collective responsibility of all citizens. Sometimes you will see crime they happen some side, then you begin to say not to the business. Okay, not to the business, but then we can wait, it will be your business. So security business now, all man business. And we all for ready for report any of them breach them for security what they see. When it comes to drug abuse, we all know the danger where this thing, if it continues, it will cause for Sierra Leone. If this drug business continues, Sierra Leone not a feature. Sierra Leone don't about, because you see most of this we young boys we there for take over. Whatever we be, today we can be minister, tomorrow we don't resign. People that they not be minister before we. Now we don't turn for being minister. We they expect the other people they don't turn to come. But if they want they not serious, they take drug, now they go school, they know they do. Then what in the future of Salon will be where we don't turn go down. So now all the things that this way president is very, very serious about the future of this country. That we forget people the way we for hand over to. Because we get for old and fade out. Thank you.
All right, General. Before I move on, I want to ask specifically if you can provide updates on the steps the way you as Internal Affairs Minister don't take for response to the Kush crisis. Where I say, for example, you present a paper to cabinet last time, we cabinet approved last week. So just provide a quick update on that somewhere, so family will understand the steps that we take from a security perspective on this crisis.
Thank you very much, Minister. You see, last week we present a paper to cabinet on the strategies where we for do so this push business go down as Sierra Leone. One of the strategy now for that we able to build the capacity of the people that will send for go fight push. Because drug is a whole lot of war on insect. Nothing where you get for be determined. Just like way one better, you get for determined for fight yourself for better. So when you see the other Sierra Leone and they destroy self, you get for be determined for fight. Let us Sierra Leone and they know that because we all for join hands together for CCA Sierra Leone better. So we get for develop the capacity of the one that we get for do this fight. Not to one great ministry to do the fight. We get the Ministry of Internal Affairs, where we get the police and the NDLA. We get the Ministry of Social Welfare, you get Ministry of Health, you get Ministry of Labor, you get Ministry of even Education. Because at the end of the day, if we able manage for rehabilitate you, we want that you go learn a trade. That trade way you go learn, it will make you very useful in society. Then you said will contribute because the president in goal, now human capital development, will not left nobody behind. That man they take push today, tomorrow if we use them, he learn something. Maybe he go learn electrician work, he will help you, he will do something for you. So the strategy now for how we develop the one the way they fed the war. Then the second objective, now for them we able to cut off the chain. Because if we not cut off that chain, they will not be able to win the war. The supply chain. That supply chain they is very, very key for them we cut off. And the car say not to one man responsibility. You send them in neighborhood. You see them where they can buy this thing. You get right for report to the police. You say will contribute for let we cut off that changing. Okay? Then after we don't cut off that changing, the next one now, how we go able to integrate this man into society? How we go able to make this man learn work when our third objective? How we go able to make this man useful? Because president na in big goal landed and we all for achieve the human capital development. We're not going to left nobody because it take push. We get to make sure that money we convert them to somebody who will be very useful in our society. Then the third one, the last one, we get to know how we monitor again. Because I don't be don't I don't go. Now this one don't I don't go. Now push don't come. We get for monitor for say no more other one not come again. We go disturb with people in this country. So now the strategy that will be presented in Parliament. In a cabinet, sorry.
All right, so thank you very much, General. I just want to reiterate what the General say in terms of a strategy, so people then also just get them very clearly. The General presents the Minister, the Honourable Minister, take to Cabinet a comprehensive plan. The plan includes for building the capacity of the government for response to the crisis. All decided we need for building capacity across the infrastructure of government. Okay? The plan includes for stop the supply. Decide when a supply. We understand say different kind of push them or some of them in a supply chain. Make sure say the plan. The plan includes for reintegrate and support the one that are victims and survivors of this use right now, because President Bio in charge to win for care for the people of this country. And make sure back say we proactively say let no other drug epidemic no come again. So like comprehensive plan we Minister will present, Cabinet don't approve them, President don't give instruction for let they immediately working with the Drug Protection Agency and let them get some resources for start that. In addition to that, President set up an interministerial council for look into this. We most of the ministry they were there, so an additional ministry where the minister mentioned, say let we look into this, and he asked the chief minister for lead that process. Last week, chief minister organized a consultation where include some members of the media and civil society for let we engage on this issue for understand. Now that meeting they will learn say Ministry of Health they conduct a comprehensive review and do a quick study for understand the extent of this. Because the president declare presidency, he want to follow a declaration the evidence base, and when he declare let mean something. So we they now put together a more robust plan, say declaration come or whatever for support this thing. So the government will take this issue very seriously. I come to you, Honorable Mellows Kabinti, you are a Minister for Social Welfare. First, you get 10 minutes, so I want to spend the first half of it for just giving you updates from your ministry. You don't take over a new ministry, which you see the social welfare very important. We now a big reflection, then any big news we want to share, now you platform this, and then you talk now in the last 3 minutes on which you your response to the Kush crisis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister and colleagues here and with Fourth Estate. On a good afternoon. I think we all know say social welfare ministry now a ministry where they cut across all sectors, because we're generally talking about the welfare of the people, but mostly the vulnerable, and we all know say the most vulnerable in our society now people living with disability. We also get the migrants. We also get anti-trafficking, people that were in the traffic out of this country. But we also get domestic trafficking. We get all the categories. We get the family the family welfare, we say we get vulnerable picking their way on maintenance issues where the daddy they not care for or the mama them, all of that ministry they did. So we generally look at welfare of the people. So just coming into the ministry, there are some reforms where they work on now with the staff them. Most of them therefore do with administrative, for map out a proper way for now deliver the services to the people. Because now also a service delivery ministry. Now a ministry where also donor driven, where we not bring money inside, but we need money. We need money because we get for take care of the welfare of the less privileged. So I also coming into the ministry, I say some reforms that most of them get to do with administrative actually, but also I try for make visits to different places then where we constituent the day. For example, I begin for go approve school, for go see them, picking them, the juveniles them, where they can also test, we can get it. I also go na remand home, and the children in conflict with law, and I also go see the people living with disability across the streets of Freetown. Because one of the main aim of His Excellency the President now inclusion. So everybody in, no one out. So it doesn't matter your status in society, you get a way where you can contribute to society. So we look at how we can include everybody. So I also go to the home of the aged, like in judges, because these are all the constituents of the ministry where they are the most vulnerable people. We also get for look at their care issue. And as I've been saying, a ministry where they cut across because we link up with other ministries. For example, I see the need for Ministry of Health for coming for support the most vulnerable. I see the need for the Ministry of Education for coming. So now we are the hub where they try for create, then link them there. So for example, in St. George's, as she say, they will need a medical, so I therefore link up with the Ministry of Health for the same nurses, then they for look after the agent. And even for employment with the Ministry of Labor, some of them with people that are disabled people, some of them they say disability is not inability, they can do it. So we try for in the coming days and weeks as we work on the 5-year strategic plan. We'll be having a national consultative meeting where we bring all the partners, including even the beneficiaries, for now we can map a way out as to how we for really address vulnerability in this country. But also the other striking thing we'll find out at the ministry, now that we get this thing we can issue the SLA, with a service level agreement, and also when I know that the ministry also where they deal with faith-based organizations. In fact, now they will get the pilgrimage, we all know that. So register the faith-based organization can register, then NGOs also register who will work with the ministry. So I find out say the processes is really flawed, and I believe say Natina they will for get immediate reform on, because most of them they misuse some people that they can't register just for we'll get the processes and procedures running, where at the end of the day everybody will be proud of the way it will go, so that people know they misuse the facility.
You get timeline for the review?
Yes, put out the website so that people can go there. You know already the process and the procedure way for waiting, the documentation which you need for that you can register. Because after that the committee they meet back for let them check everything before you actually register. So it's not going to be business as usual. I just want to people the patience with me, because if Salon better now we all better, and that's some of the things that this will get for put in place. So I want for now talk on the issue of push. So Ministry of Social Welfare, like other ministries, sister ministries, is very key to addressing this issue. And we believe in a multi-dimensional approach. Every ministry, department, and agency, they get a role to play. Even you as an individual, as Sierraleonean, patriotic Sierraleonean, you get a role to play. Because if we youth then go astray, like how Minister said earlier, this country is doomed. And we don't want that because that is revolving. People that they come, they pass on, we begin to come, you know. So we need people then for take after we. So waiting the Ministry of Social Welfare don't do, because we now that area of rehab. And it's so unfortunate that this country don't get a rehab center, especially on government side. So why is this issue they go on with, they say on the social media, even community justice and all of that, it didn't please some of us, will not be happy about it. And so during a visit to approved school, I still ponder around looking for a suitable place where sometimes we could able to get as an outlet for the counseling activities, because the psychosocial aspect is as important as the aspect of the one where the minister will talk about on the police side. So in fact, in cabinet, His Excellency the President, no even criminalizer, one will take her as an issue when we all affect, like how affect Ebola and how affect Corona in this country. That kind of way. So we're not criminalizing it. So for we want to begin almost immediately for send with psychosocial counselors, the social workers, into the various places who will get them people here now for begin the counseling, and also for begin do an assessment of the one them where we can quickly rehabilitate and get them back into the communities. And we also know say community engagement and sensitization is very key, because some of them are communities that we don't date, and some of them sometimes they don't get stigma, you know, how to go back. So we get a lot of work for do, and not only the social workers will train for that, and they therefore do that. And we want to thank the government, because recently we don't employ over 140 social workers. So now we get like the infrastructure for now we begin right away for begin the counseling. That is very important. We also want to engage with the law enforcement agency for profile some of them people here. Some of them people here, they not even know who side they come out, you know. But we can able for try for do family tracing, for try for meet the families there and try to see how we will reunite them with the family for the one they hold on with. Also the interreligious council, the faith people, the Muslims, the Christians, pastors and imams, we want to bring them on board, and at this ministry they coordinate them. We want to bring them on board for us to see how they self go participate, you know, for this rehabilitation business. So our work is cut out for us, and we get something that we don't put about us. They say earlier, the previous speaker, that we did engage with all. We don't already begin the engagement. In fact, tomorrow, me and the Minister of Internal Affairs and the Ministry of Works will go visit this site for this rehabilitation. So moving forward, the public will hear on some of the activities we'll be undertaking. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Madam Minister. So for Fambul and House, you ministered in the duty work. We less than a month in, we must have put them be sworn in. But you also already the plenty steps that we take for consult, for engage, for review, for make the process better, so it will serve you, the people there. The minister don't say, I don't see the press release already, say all the legislation process for NGO, religious organization, it's been abused in the past. So you put a stop, it review, it sanitize that process there, and it will be very transparent way done. So we know who that gets now this registration, who that gets this review, who that not gets, and all of that. On the push crisis, the headline we talk, we are now on a loss. That we take a human-centric approach. Not to guns blazing, not to war who make say arrest people. Even the Minister of Internal Affairs say that people are with people there. And with brother and sister there. You then are also to job for arrest them, and that make law enforcement for look at who that need for be arrested. But the people that the government they approach, the minister said that they work already for look at rehabilitation centers. And then they only make some concrete steps and I know say they're passionate about this, or the cabinet they push this go before. Before I turn over to a colleague from civil society for a brief opening statement, we'll open to now. I get two quick updates we just received. One breaking news now that the Teaching Service Commission, in collaboration with the Ministry for Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and the education stakeholder, they don't launch the nomination process for the 3rd edition of the Presidential National Best Teacher Awards. It only happen, the 3rd one will start, so you can nominate full-time trained and qualified teachers. Teacher, the way you know, they don't demonstrate high performance, and we don't show evidence of practicing the profession very well. Go to tsc.gov.sl for more information. Finally, on the updates, Salone Police don't issue a press release, don't ban them, boots them, with the anchor and then wrap them after 7 p.m. in the night. Salone Police don't issue a press release. We see boots and then wrap them. They don't do the investigation, they don't consult. They say after 7 p.m., they're not for the day again. On more information for that, so I can contact the Salone Police and they will provide further clarity. But we want for the family and also they listen to this program will say yes, indeed, Salone Police don't put out that press release. Now to you, Juliet, on the coach crisis, I don't say you, they work for advocate, you're a legal practitioner. You don't interact with both the social welfare side because when I deal with the victims then, and the legal side because when they as well, and I make a feel say you know be a very uniquely qualified person for Cabo get these 2 ministers in the today. So give you your perspective on whose side affects the right now the crisis day and what you really do as civil society. So because our government platform is at the end 10 minutes, you are in 5 minutes. I see. You will open up for the questions.
Steve, I know when things are in 5 minutes because with waiting the 2 minutes that we don't talk, they already don't solve the problem. So I don't need 5 minutes. But with the outline with the minister again, the strategy, and also the concept, the Minister of Social Welfare.
Speak up small. I think the one you go through.
And the reforms the way the Minister of Social Welfare they try for it obviously should say it's people-centered approach. But until their system they can be placed, I want for we talk on the laws they will get. And so this is a fine way for starting based on how una present the points them. We get the National Drug Control Act 2008. That act they provide this say the Minister of Internal Affairs can set up treatment assessment panel. That panel they get 2 lawyers and 1 medical practitioner and 2 people that will get extensive knowledge on the psychology, the social problems we get for the drug abuse. So that is a good start. Until we get the systems that are so in place, that is a good start. And we also currently get a matter, an ongoing case where 52 people have been tried. 16 have been convicted because they plead guilty. Now there's 16 people in the go prison. And of course we know that current for drugs.
Possession or
it's a mixture, right? And the question we bring so to me make her come to how law enforcement actors in the arrest. Where you come to you have the law and you get the process of implementation of the law. And of course, the person, the institution will charge with the responsibility that the police, right? So usually how police they go, in mere experience from where I'm sitting, how police they go about certain cases. Then they look for targeted areas. I'll count examples. Look for targeted areas where you likely offend people that are disproportionately affected by the existence of the laws that we get. They arrest them, they go through the trial, and then they're in prison. For so long, a lot of the time in every case is not done. So currently with the 52 people, it will be different. So if in a situation where you find them all in an area where sometimes you frequently event, that is how they're all done. And they're all, yes, okay. And they're all going to prison. So right now we get 16. We don't be convicted. So this is a good way. We don't have systems in place, not the prison system for rehabilitating offenders. So I think within the 2008 Act, we provide the Minister of Internal Affairs can set up that system. It is a very good start. But generally, when it comes to
advocate for letting the honorable minister set up the system where already near the law.
Yes, we can. That is a good start. In addition to the strategy, okay. Because again, the gap within the law is, gets no provision of harm reduction. What's in a harm reduction? where people they don't use for take drugs, for example, for take substance, you need to come one time and say, this there so you utility them forever. There is a process where you get to go through. That is the whole point of having a rehabilitation center. And even when you don't go through that rehabilitation center, there's also a possibility, say you go to relapse process, we're going to make you come back. So if we get a system in place, if we get laws, we get a legal framework, we provide the enabling environment for people then, whether the consumer of drugs, who is also, I should say, from the human rights and civil society, honestly the victims. Because when it comes to drugs, you have so many categories. You get the one that they produce, you get the one that they traffic, you get peddlers, you have users. But all of the cases that they see, they go around on social media. Now people that were in the informal economy. So when they happen to the one the way they make this drug, so for me, I don't ever see them on social media where in them say they go read this particular site. People the way they make the push, they arrest them. The poor victims, the way they strive for survival, and besides, they carry how the economy, they carry how the country, they carry how the world. One of the things that people they struggle with now for come to acceptance of all the issues they are so easy to deal with and feel healthy coping mechanisms. I mean, they tell me friends a few weeks ago say, all my way are when they're close to me, they go through some form of a crisis. But the difference between the category of people that they interact with and the one they within the arrest, now the fact that we come up from a position of privilege, we're able to sit down and think about waiting at the struggles the whole currency we face, and waiting at the healthy mechanisms the whole can resort to for people go through them problems there. For example, you have alcohol, right? And I make reference to alcohol for the simple fact say it is a substance where people don't use. It is regulated, but you're allowed. The fact that the government press briefing and it's all about alcohol, it is allowed. I can still decide, say, you know what, because it's been a hard week, I go find for the retailers in wind down. I can drive to the supermarket, go to the section where they sell alcohol. Waiting, I get the opportunity to watch the content of that alcohol. See, say it's made from a particular percentage, and also there's an outline of if you get belly, you're not for the English alcohol. If you get this underlying condition, you're not for the English alcohol. I can decide among the many options they were getting, waiting I want for, waiting only they allow me for do, now for make informed decision. And when it comes to the push crisis, now one of the things there, where there's a huge gap, you wonder where they use them. Well, unfortunately, they cannot be part of this conversation for make them able to from the lived experience. The one the way they use them, not able to make informed decision. And so because we all defend coping mechanism, we defend escape, it's very quick for make people they resort to something so they give them a very quick solution. And unfortunately, if they thankfully now the states they put steps in place for ensure say they're able to address this. But a lot of the time you find out say when you want the way for acts, no act, society the organizing itself. So now what do we get? We get youths in our community, we don't decide that they beat the one they win users. And it's a violation of their human rights. You get people there, I see a video of a woman where they beat. I am like, how are people, and now with social media, it's very easy for me all things go viral. How will they sit down, or I'm sending it back to the states because now the states have responsibility. How will the states they sit down and see the things that they happen? Again, thankfully the state is doing something about it. But still when they get them systems in place, we already get law from 2008, where say a treatment assessment panel for the settle. So it means that people they weigh them convict of drug use, not for jail. System need for them in place where for ensure say then they go through rehabilitation and then they help them for come back in society. And I also point out say drug in itself gets immune stigma way associated to it. Now go through the criminal justice system. You get forms the way they feel where they ask you say, have you ever been convicted of an offense? Can you go to prison for something you own one push or one weed? How can you go to prison with prison system already?
We know just can't tell now all we think government they do. Because governments belong to the people then. Me and you now una government. We they work for una. They work and because we also get this team now we president now set up with chief minister they lead, we look for whose kind of reform they will need for do. In the past, people think say government people they need this scene or we in the same country we all get. We want to let change happen. So if I will all exchange idea here, let me make the country go before. As soon as I know, we normally put a platform for them to ask them questions online. So you ask the question online, you get priority. Now your question first will be asked in the hall because while we will keep the question and coming online. So I have to tell the 26 people that would already send questions there through platform for this week. I have plenty, thank you to Una. And they pick out some of the questions and the first rounds are asked, and then I can out to Una where they are for Una ask Una question them. Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs, somebody say PC Sons. The container was investigated by Boloi. Salon police, unfortunately, the current head of SLPA involved and there was silence. They respond. Somebody also say a container from Brazil and the container was for PC Sons. I guess that's the same thing. Somebody alleged say police officer and are part of importers. I don't make we get the doctor now last week. He make a clear saying that 3 types of kush day. That actually the news people they go say kush the primary problem of importation. It's not true. That the local manufacturing and local use of kush, it don't far exceed the one they would in the green car. So I think we get evidence now from the experts there on this issue. So don't waste time on that. Honorable Minister of Social Welfare, there is a question about whether, well, maybe you go take this one, but say the Kisi Psychiatric Hospital statistics we will mention, apart from that, whose other data we would look for and how the government they collect data on drug abuse. They also ask if the national plan with cabinet will approve will be shared. I think I go pause for the one day and give a quick few minutes for respond. If you did at the whole set, you also want to add to the conversation, you can just take a picture of that day, the websites day, you can ask, and I assure you, so your question we ask through that platform like priority now, so that we'll keep the conversation going. Yes, sir.
The PC and Son container where somebody they make reference to, so I'm not going to report on that Namidex it. And I don't get no idea whether they import push or not. If I get, I will tell you. Then the idea for say police, now then the distributor or something like that, where you talk about the SLP, even that one, you know, sometimes don't know they make some baseless accusation. Now we did do some evidence-based something. You know, go just grab them because you see na police they bring push cam. We know there no evidence in a police event. We know say police like every other Sierra Leonean, you see them on social media, they say they don't take push, soldier don't take push, this one. You know, these are all things where the police they take action, the military they take action, all man they take action. But EU people the way they do one, they're not supposed to do one. But for saying that then they begin and come and we're not getting no evidence. If we get evidence, we can come forward. You know, the idea for saying we go popular, we go bring out this this plan. Well, a day on course, and we get a sub-cabinet. What they call. Most of the journalists they are present now. We last meeting, we all share ideas together. Once that they don't concretize, we go bring and come out to the public for now.
Thank you.
Okay. The issue of data. The government take data very serious, and because data we all know they inform with plans and with programs. And for now, even the data is very key because any plan where government want for take now, it can for be data driven. I mean, His Excellency the President even not come out with the pronouncement because he want for ensure say we get the data, you know, across the country. And for we and the Ministry of Social Welfare, data is very key to everything what they do, especially as we deal with people. So whether from the family to drug and substance users to those who are being trafficked. That's a very key. And just coming into the ministry, I don't emphasize and even overemphasize that, because also na part of we own thing the way the chief minister get for the accessory on. He don't tell me in a cabinet. So that's a very key, and we pay close attention to it. We partner themselves, they try for support we for them make with data collection system very robust.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Somebody asked me if the Jerusalem issue, here he said the threatening we on the idea of one open embassy in Jerusalem, Israel. We're not aware of any threats, and as I say, this government is not the act based on individual perceived threats, but there has not been any threats whatsoever. This can be a simple case of misunderstanding that we own up and we make clear and clarify to the people of Salome. We relationship with Israel is based on long-standing commitment, but also the relationship with the rest of that region is strong. And obviously, as a member of the Security Council, we position consistent with the UN. So wherever we embassy located, will be consistent with the position of the United Nations. And that Jerusalem communication, not to be the right communication. That's not what is going to happen. So we want to make that very clear. Okay? We will open an embassy in Israel, but you don't mean say the embassy in Jerusalem again for day. And that is the news on this question. Now we open up to question. I remember the rules now. We don't do this here now small. So Sabi, you put up your hand, you say your name, you ask your question. One question per person. Hey, no carry dossier for me. So we'll get more and more people for ask question. Okay? So I'm going to do the first round. So now we sit around the table on that, because that means say I can hardly. 1, 2, 3. Now 3 first. Yes, boss. Now you go first, you go second in the yellow, and the gentleman, and then we'll do the next round. Yes.
Yes, I'm Asai Mishiko, I'm Concord Times newspaper. With the data, the medical experts gave here the last time, we began the last time about how many thousand of people them way they don't rehabilitate or within house people who are admitted for push. That alarming data. The government they think of declaring state of emergency or health state of emergency for push.
Let's make a look because Naya don't explain that they just know. So either you know be the listen or you not can read or you not follow all the conversation.
Passive listener. Mind the far. Mind the far.
Anyway, okay, no, you next.
That man's mic is on.
Yeah, and I make soup. I just want to make off. Yes, go ahead. Hey, boss, turn that name off. Yes, you.
Okay. Mohamed Amin Banya from AYV. I just want for pick the queue from this presidential statement we'll get for do it this Israel embassy. So I go when you talk, I will go to the internet. I try for do a small research for no. So the statement for Hamas, a group where they are Palestine. Of course, they don't wage war in Palestine and same to Israel. They don't condemn President Bio's statement for ensure say establish embassy in Israel. So with all this will come up from people a military group who don't wage war and the country who side and same to Israel. I want to know if we are concerned and if we are go ahead and for ensure say Salome get embassy inside Israel. Also, I'm an expert, Mr. Minister, Minister of Internal Affairs. The other time you gave directive to Salome Police for ensure say they chase bike man who don't use helmet. But you get people who don't condemn that day and say they don't for share helmet with other people. So I want to know how you go for go ahead and for enforce that stuff.
I thank you. Turn off your mic, please. Thank you. Yes.
Mina John Kelly Mara, I report for City Voice newspaper as well as the Asma Post magazine. Question able to the Minister of Internal Affairs. Mr. Minister, sir, in which ways you are building the capacity to fight against push? Because the fighters of push are also the consumer of push. In which way, sir?
Okay. I think so we can take a couple more and then we'll go. Yes.
Madam Minister, the field of recruiter right now is very flooded with big industry, and it's becoming very annoying because the morning started we see the activity and waiting in the do for that say them the welfare there and acting our hearts because they're very exposed to lots of things, prostitution and self going to push. So waiting when I need to do about that and self how now the workforce that they will include women and we get disability for themselves to be included inside picking activities and women activities. Thank you.
All right, maybe I'll take one more start on this side. You want me on there for a while?
My name is Sorry, I was an import for unit 5.7. And I want to reflect some of the assertions of the two ministers there. We are not going to criminalize the approach towards fighting push. But some of them consumer of push. Now, then currently, if you pull 5 gallons out of getting water, they will take and you can go. If you sleep in the net, you fear me no can broke yours and tip inside. Well, all of these are criminal approach and criminal conduct. So when I don't think say it's high time we as well criminalize some of these criminals.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the very good question. And so make I just pass the question over. The one question about president's declaration, I think we will answer that, so then we will left hand. The question therefore about Hamas, and the question there about helmets use for the minister. IDF for building capacity for the annual defense Kush, and I use question and then this question about well the users of Kush they engage in criminal activities, so why they criminalize that? So at the left you lay handle them three quickly. We will take the last question, no worry about that. I will come over to Honorable Minister.
Well, you see, when somebody commits a crime, like you don't go thief something, and a separate issue that they charge you for that thief when you thief. In fact, now international safety regulation, not to salon law. Now international safety regulation for anybody with the ride bike. If now this bike, this ordinary not a motorbike, the ordinary one is the pedal, you forget in your helmet, you understand. Then if now the one way is speed don't go above 20 km/h, you forget not to salon law, now international law. Any country it did. If you get accident, insurance no will pay you because you not obey the law. We Sierra Leone we enforce them because we let the people they will not make they die, then they get plenty. If you say you know the way, no go patak under. Okay? Because now international law, not to only salon law. You go America, you go Britain, you go Japan, any side you go, before you ride that day, if I put you, just like seat belt. Seat belt, not a salon law, it's international.
How do you build capacity for fight push?
Well, you see, Kush, for fight Kush, like I was saying, I'm sure he was just focusing on the police. You understand? But not only police, the fight Kush. We get the fight Kush. Even the police. The only thing about the difference between the police and the civilian when they take Kush, police, then they drive you, they will go rehabilitate you now. Then they sack you, they will go rehabilitate you. Unlike the ordinary civilian, you will just go to rehabilitation center.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Child street beggars,
yes.
including disability.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think that concern whether my sister raised now a concern for not only me but government as a whole. And if while they talk, I talk already say the Ministry of Social Welfare, they interact and link up with several other ministries. And in addition, the ministries then they make policies, and make reforms then where they lead, to better service delivery of the people then. And we know the government in big 5 changes. Right now we get feed salon. But of we know say with the current challenges, na the world and salon are part of the global family, we get really issues where underpin why Pekine and even the other one they in the street. But President Bio and this government very concerned, and I make we take the right steps or make sure say we not only they bring in policies we go help we for address the issue today, but take practical steps, including the feed salon, where we believe say now way down the way all man go able to get food in this country, because one of the things that when they care people they go on the streets really na food. Like even that days there why they go to the disabled people there, I can rest go. They were so happy, because they tell me say during the rainy season are the most difficult time. But also we get with partners then. In fact, I don't begin engaged like World Bank. And this vision about having a place for less privileged people there with themselves, but then they were actually trainable. You can able to train them, then we work about they use the hand. And me and they get a conversation recently saying when I can use my hand, not so someone tell me say I get me license, I can able drive KKSF for do what he said. So that economic empowerment aspect. Now there with partners there and other line ministries there and even departments, agencies like NACSA, we all therefore come together for see how we can really able to address this problem. Now I make us say we are developing our strategic plan, and most of the partners there they will get keen interest in how to stop the street begging, especially with the most vulnerable. So I have started my engagements with the key ones there, and I believe say they continue. Tomorrow already I get meeting with the World Bank, and I believe say that meeting will be fruitful, and these are some of the things there where they put across. How do we support our people? This question is not only for the Ministry of Social Welfare, but for every other ministry, including agriculture, including education, because some of them picking this, so some of them really need for their school. And also they are being trafficked. They don't pull their upline, they bring the car, some of them are the parents, then they get for push the parent for go big. So the issues are there. And once we don't identify the issues, we will try for work on and for make sure say government able for address them by God the power.
Thank you. So I want for just throw light a bit more on on the question you raised about let them criminalize the criminals and again double jeopardy. But when it comes to addressing social issues, the law is not enough. Having a legal framework where they regulate issues where they have to do with social interaction, the law not sufficient for addressing. You get what we call criminalization of poverty. As the minister said, some of the reasons make people in the kind of say now because they need food. You get bread and butter issues where they push people then into committing offenses. If you're not purpose in a salon, there is a thin line between that code where you pour and you coming into contact with the law. Because if you investigate some of the reasons then why make people and they come in contact with the law, you know say poverty is a driving factor. They're gonna prison, they see people there was something on social media, I think, where they release one boy for we go thief bread. Imagine you're in prison because anybody will arrest and get right to arrest them because they fall under the law. So we having a punitive approach to issues the way me and you likely for come in contact with not get for solve the problem.
Thank you. Brilliant intervention there. On this question of the Hamas, let's just clarify one more time. what you see the response, not just of Hamas, but other groups and other media houses, not to because Alonso will establish embassy in Israel, and because the news was reported like we will establish embassy in Jerusalem, when I did the dispute there. So beaucoup countries around the world get embassy in the state of Israel, in Tel Aviv, when the most embassy in the day. Which they clarify that news will go out because of people just take and say, because we open embassy in Israel, and we make the mistakes. So I must say some people now, we as a government, that we make the mistake, we take responsibility for that mistake. And the mistake report, because the presidency will open embassy in Israel, where the tweets go out, the report say because of the open embassy in Israel, it just add and they say, Jerusalem. But Salone in position consistent with the United Nations. And I know say when this clarification go out, that statement that we could so it not going to be useful again. We'll not get no threats, we'll get excellent relationship with also the other Arab, Muslim, Middle Eastern country, them when a Muslim majority country, but we get that relationship there, we also get the possible relationship with Israel we don't get for many years. So I wonder we just clarify that. Let's take a new round of questions and comments. We get Madam Asma James. Yeah, welcome back to Salone. You don't go enjoy too much. Good to see you. You see? Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Juliet. I see the minister will try to push away the talk, but you make a very good point here. And as part of your civic education, well, I say thank you very much, Juliet. They make a very brilliant point there. And as part of the Ministry of Civic Education, I think say we need to invest a lot in this particular issue about Kush, because it's not funny, and I believe say government there is why they don't want to declare state of emergency on them because of the repercussion we definitely will get, but it's a crisis we get. And the talk on make a lot of mention on the rehabilitation, take them, mend them, but not to secret say the one them when they bring them. I mean, I just in passing, I believe the keenly on all statements on the Kush. Whether they call the name of higher authority, whether they not call the name accused here and there, but the one them when they bring them. I mean, it's not far from what. So maybe government also, I'm not for no waiting on they do for that particular area. They will be one way they make them all, the one way they bring them all, the items the way they use. Now they first for the tackle before we say rehabilitate and also care them people there so go where they on drugs. But again, as part of the civic education, when I put for airtime, when I buy a newspaper them for make sure say when I bring people like Juliet and other people them and engage citizens robustly on the use of Kush in Salone.
Thank you. I just want to clarify say in not to say we no want to declare as a public emergency. I just want to make that very clear. We come up with cabinet as we know, residents is ready to do what is necessary. But in order to grab no more today, you go make declaration. You don't ask me for lay the foundation, for gather the evidence. Because just evidence not only to see on social media. We're supposed to get evidence across the country and for lay a plan. We start last week with the chief minister, we convene a meeting. It's now the fourth press conference now hold on in this new ministry. Each and every one of the press conferences will address this issue. I think it will show say we take this issue extremely seriously as a government. So thank you for that question, Eja.
I want to know if the budget increase for SLBC, if now the government, they add for them by the money or the leadership of SLBC acts.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Now one, two, sir. Number two for the Minister of Internal Affairs. Recently, police conduct raid at Civic facilities. I think Calvaton and one more waiting the raid there about, then we get claims when the victims make, see the police make with assets, property, and money. We don't even explain it why. So we want to clarify that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Make I go to the man with the next to you. Yes.
Yes. The question with regards EDSA. You say when you update that they just make proposal. But I think to many Sierra Leoneans, anytime where EDSA make that kind of proposal, it's difficult for the Water Regulation Commission reject it. And then you give justification, say Sierra Leone gets the least tariff and the sub-region. You also consider the economic condition of the other country and the sub-region. And then quickly when you update on the appointment, then you know update where the covered appointment of chief minister, chief of staff. And then I see most times now the appointment that they give something covered. I see one we get for do with the appointment of director of technology in the office of the president. And I want to know the difference between the directorate of technology and DSTI. What's the difference? The DSTI is a state house.
Okay. Thank you. I want to make sure I don't miss one by question. You asked 3 questions. EDSA, chief of staff.
Yes, EDSA, chief of staff, and then justification about.
Thank you. Yes, madam. You, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful discussion. We are now good. We comment to the Madam Minister of Social Welfare. You talk about vulnerable groups, but I just want to bring your attention to the correctional center. Them picking the way they inside with them mama. You know, say the correctional center there would be between 2 years and above, not for the inside the correctional service. So they are with the day as you plan, you don't forget them, especially for interim care. Then we can only for the inside with them mama. So yeah, I always stand as part of the plan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. 2 questions, please. The one are just clarification.
You mean?
Yeah, Ibrahim Al-Hussein Kamara. Salon Compass newspaper.
Okay.
To the Minister of Internal Affairs first. You talk about this push. You say 1 million, the government still very enough criminalize the fight. But we don't see a situation where police they go give places and they arrest a whole lot of people. And quite recently, we know say 52 youth have been in jail right now because of push. So I don't know what's not the difference between criminalizing the fight and that of rehabilitating the victims. Now to the issue of Israel. You know, we have, as a world generally, we have a serious economic situation. So I want to know what's not the necessity for Sierra Leone for opening embassy in Israel.
That will be the last question.
That will be the last question. Let me address some of the questions that we didn't come directly to we and to the government. Indeed, retired Major Abdul Sheikh Kago, the appointed Chief of Staff in the Office of the President. I want to make something clear. The Chief of Staff not to a public-facing role. There's no covert, like I say, not so secret. In job, now for superintend the staff in the Office of the Presidency. This is an accomplished individual, strong management background, military background, at the head of the National Drug Protection Agency. And it does please the Excellency for bringing and come for be the Chief of Staff in the Presidency, in the Office of the President. The Chief Minister, and they superintend the cabinet, and they represent the President And they support the president for support and oversee we were the cabinet. So the roles could not be more distinct. The chief minister in responsibility also for administratively manage the staff they waiting at the presidency. So I want to make that very clear. And an oversight on the part. We will not mention that as part of the announcement because the announcement will do the one that we just come on this week, we don't tweet on. That is the announcement we don't come on the week before. So I want to tell you thank you for we seek that clarification. In the office of the president, for ask if a directorate, so if you go to Ministry of any ministry, trade, you get director of communication. I don't mean say Ministry of Communication are important when you do the work. This is a president. We care about technology and innovation. And in your delivery team, you don't bring up an additional expert in technology. Now it don't happen so with this appointment. DSTI remains the directorate, where they remain in the presidency, and will get a line into the Ministry of Communication, Technology and Innovation. So we will provide some supervision to that. So I just want to clarify that for the people of Salon. On the EDSA question, what I point out, not to justification, what I point out that the reality. And I point out waiting there that the EDSA letter, and I need convey to right now. We're going to go to the points now, where we're going to go public, forget this conversation, where the public they give their feedback, where they listen, and I assure you, say this government, the instruction where the president don't give it, is to follow that process. For listening to the people there, for listening to the justification, in order in the interest as a government, for impose a burden on the people there, beyond what is necessary for all the states. So all our points we don't take, so we will take into consideration. The regulator will take into consideration on when they make the decision. And I will assure you, say, pay attention to the process. We get to be involved for make sure say that process he follow the letter of the law. But I just we want let not feel like people they don't know because they are gazette, because we get this platform for inform the people of this country. Finally, on the question of whether it's necessary for open embassy in Israel, and one of the most interesting questions whereby Israel are one of the most advanced, developed economies on earth. The opportunities within Israel, they're immense. In fact, Israel is a hub for technology. The innovation in Israel is superior to sometimes even in the rest of the West. The rest of the West, they go to Israel for learn about technology and innovation. The opportunities for business, it's immense. What I want to make clear is every trip where the president make, every conversation the president gets, every move where the president they make, now only for serve one interest, for serve the best interest of Salon, for expand opportunities, for seek opportunities, for let we improve the economy. Somebody say we get hardship. And because of the hardship that the president say, we'll get a relationship here. Why not convert a relationship here to strong business opportunity we will help the economy? So now you make a sale open embassy, so we'll get an ambassador there, we will bring businessman and can say, you don't have a salon, can invest there, can open factory here. So I think that question, we very clear. Because we get only 5 more minutes, I will pass over to the rest of the panelists then and ask them quickly for response to any other thing will not resolve it in the last word. And as I know, commitment and for try to finish his press conference right on time. So I will give you now 2 minutes.
Well, this man about the QNet, I will try to find out. I not get enough idea. I will get them to you if possible. Then this other person about say they don't arrest people there. Normally, you see, we're supposed to get them go to a rehabilitation center. But because they don't arrest them, we not get that center, we don't want to make them continue in drug. We get them go to a safer place. where you call reason. But actually, yes. So, you know, we dey try for keep them away. If you see some of them condition, how we take them, then how they now, you go tell God thank you. Because some of them, no, I'm very honest. Some of them, they pull saw, they wouldn't call, but now at least if you see them, they look better small. You know? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Somebody talk about them picking them where they with the mama then correctional center and for say them vulnerable. This na a concern, and I will engage with my colleague Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs and the Commission for Children, Ministry of Social Welfare, we say for your Directorate of Family Welfare, follow we all make a visit and really see waiting we will come together, because government, you know, they work in isolation. You get other partners who you bring on board, so it's going to be a team, and I'm happy that this person raised up. We will pay attention there, and we will try to address that issue there. But in a nutshell, I think this opportunity is really good, so that when people are able to understand some of the steps we are taking, you know, in our ministries, and how we are working, how we work with ministries, department, agencies, NGOs, and all the other partners there, for where we push this country go before. The social issues are there, but they believe say, which we all coming together, you know, we can able to address them. And so me and your approach that everybody in, no one out. It's an inclusive process, radical inclusion. Thank you.
For piggyback to waiting the minister say, advocate don't work in the space of access to justice for provide legal representation, holistic approach to justice for women and girls between for 17 years. So with the offer we say fully for work with the Ministry of Social Welfare, the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs to stand in this process for ensure say the woman and girls between they come in contact with the law, they get the access to justice. And for end the earlier points so I don't make because the approach what we currently use centered on the users, the way supposed for victim, whatever approach we use supposed for security focused, safety focused, preventive focused, and we need for center the well-being of the people that into their approaches there.
All right. Oh yeah, thank you for the reminder.
On the SLBC question. In fact, the memo on the SLBC was we Ministry of Finance said, it said based on the request we the Director General will make SLBC, the Ministry of Finance don't approve that the memo read today at the meeting. As you know, the Director General make the request, and then we all push with the Ministry of Finance who don't come and say we first meeting we want to go there with good news. So thank you for that clarification. Thank you for the reminder. And for this opportunity to give us family all thank you for what we are joining with, particularly the local station there across the country, SLBC and AYV, who are carrying live, and all the other media partners and the blogger them. We appreciate now. We'll be back next week sharp on time, and we'll also end on time. Have a wonderful week. Assalamu alaikum.
No.
Yeah, good afternoon again to everybody. Thank you for day on for watch the press conference with the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. Normally they get every Tuesday for update people on waiting the government they do. And today we will get the Minister of Internal Affairs, the new Minister of Internal Affairs, will talk on security issues and about the push issue in the country. And we get again the Minister of Gender, where we there again we talk on plenty things that we don't do at the gender ministry and some of the reform that they made at the gender ministry, and again some of the things that we don't want for do for stop the school's business.
This is 29th Broadcasting. So we go left on now as we just done the press briefing at the Foreign Affairs. So we go left on now. This is 29th Broadcasting. We tell you bye bye.